Welcome to me, where suspenseful, thrilling, and mysterious stories will draw you into a world where the lines between reality and fantasy seem to blur. When the night falls, when all the sounds gradually quiet down, leaving only your own heartbeat and breathing, that's when these stories begin. Tensions, unsolved mysteries, moments that will make you hold your breath in fear or curiosity, all are waiting for you ahead. Find a comfortable seat, dim the lights, and let this sound guide you on a journey that is not for the faint of heart. I want each of you to leave a comment sharing where you are in the world. And if you are enjoying the episodes, don't forget to give a like and subscribe to the channel now. Relax. Are you ready? If so, join me in the first story right now, The Inheritance. Christ, Beck snapped, giving a start. Before her stood a tall man in a butler's suit. His lips curled, and he lifted a sardonic brow as he gave a small, mocking bow. Her eyes moved from his oddly fat feet up his short, sturdy legs, where the tail of his coat hung below his knees and moved back and forth in the slight breeze. His hips were narrow, but his long body widened into a thick paunch. Then his chinless head squatted on shoulders, no wider than his girth. His long, thin nose occupied his face. "You frightened the bejesus out of me. Who the hell are you?" she asked. "Who is this? And why is he inside my aunt's house? And why is he dressed in a black suit straight from the early 20th century?" His smile widened into a toothy grin. "Falstaff, the butler, at your service, ma'am." His hooded eyes blinked slowly, and he bowed again. The man was repulsive to look at, but Beck was drawn into the dark depths of his strange eyes. With an effort, she broke their gaze. Auntie had a butler? She never said. Over the years, Beck had kept in contact via letters. Aunt Bess didn't own a computer, and now Auntie was gone, presumed dead. That's what the police said. It was obvious to Beck that they had given up hope of finding her great-aunt. Falstaff cleared his throat to reclaim her wandering attention. The left side of his upper lip curled in a smile. Or was that a snarl? "I think if you check, you will find mention of me in Bess's will. She and I became very close. She was alone." He paused. "And lonely. What the hell is this guy insinuating? Auntie allowed you to call her Bess?" She swallowed hard. "Surely not. As I said, she was lonely. She felt deserted. She loved me." His lips opened over his large teeth in an approximation of a cheeky grin. Like a son. She wanted to change her will, but before she could, she disappeared. "It's not true," Beck gasped. "She would never. She loved me. I loved her. I'm her niece, grand-niece, whatever, who never visited her. I was overseas. If it's any business of yours." Why was she defending herself against the hired help? What he was saying was preposterous. Beck gritted her teeth. "I'm her niece. I'm blood." "Yes, blood. Falstaff blinked slowly. Was he goading her? Blood, so much thicker than water. He licked his lips. As you say, whatever. The will was not changed, and I remain Falstaff the butler, at your service, ma'am. He clicked his heels and gave another little bow, stepped back, and gestured for her to enter. She ignored him. She didn't need his invitation. I was hoping to revisit the old place alone, so you can go back to wherever butlers go, and I'll look after myself. A wry smile tugged at her mouth. I sound just like Great Aunt Bess at her autocratic best. An apology automatically rose to her lips. To hell with that. Just who does this guy think he is? Freaking creep. Why am I so jittery? Her tongue flicked out over her red lips, but she kept her gaze steady. The house is mine. Falstaff's smile disappeared. His nostrils flared, and his coal-black, unblinking eyes stared down his long nose. Beck lifted her chin and stared back. Prick. With head and unk stiff, he turned on his heel into the gloomy interior. What's with the fancy dress costume? She demanded. He turned around, the movement a slither of insolence. Oh, just something our Aunt Bess liked to do for guests, he replied. How dare he? Our Aunt Bess, indeed. She liked to relive history. It gave our visitors a bit of a thrill. Tourists are stupid. There it was again, that infuriating superiority and mockery. We could, and did, frighten the fools with tall tales of hauntings and death. Aunt Bess and I enjoyed the game. Solid, sensible Aunt Bess playing dress-up? Surely not. I want to be alone. Falstaff bowed smartly as he replied, Perhaps Madam would like me to bring her bags in. Shall I put them in the master bedroom? Sure. Why not? She tossed him the car keys, which he snapped up with his left hand in a strangely smooth and agile movement for someone who looked so awkward in his own skin. He moved forward. She backpedaled as he passed, surprised and confused by a fleeting apprehension. Shaking herself, she stepped onto the black and white marble tiles of the foyer. Automatically, her hand reached to the right and flicked the switch. The brassy brightness of electric light pushed the shadows back. The old Dutch lamp still hung above the entrance, but an ugly black cord snaked through the decorative fretwork and into the base where it connected to a bulb, instead of the genteel neglect of her memory. The harsh electricity showed dilapidated antique furniture and fading decor. She threw her red bag onto the armchair, making a bloody splash against the faded green velvet. She kicked off her red stilettos, making a matching puddle on the floor. She noticed a dimmer switch and twisted the knob. That's better. A smile curved Beck's mouth as she gazed around. Her mother had brought 8-year-old Becky here to live, just for a few weeks, until after the divorce. Becky ended up staying for 36 months during which, under the generous care of her forthright great-aunt, she blossomed. Aunt Bess taught her that you could love without anger, manipulation, and shouting. Beck bit her lip to prevent the tears. Be sensible. Auntie was very old. She had a good innings. Beck heard the old lady's rusty voice. Buck up, girlie. That's life. Look to the future. Youch! Beck wrinkled her nose. What was that disagreeable, swampy smell? She spun slowly around. A veil of dust made everything appear out of focus. Hang on. I thought that guy said he was the butler. Why is everything so dusty? Moving further down the hall, she said aloud, Lazy bastard. He is so gone when I get settled. Thud, thump, thud, thump, thud, thump. Beck froze, heart pulsing painfully in her throat. She turned and saw the butler's legs disappear around the curve of the stairwell. Had he heard her? Too bad. Perhaps it will improve his attitude. His tread thudded resentfully into the dusty carpet as the back corner of the valise thumped the stair. Thud, thump. Beck laughed and returned to exploring her surroundings. Bet the bossy old broad's turning in her grave, she murmured, running a well-manicured finger tipped in blood over the arm of the settee. A photograph of the fabulous old Tartar, looking her imperious best, glared down at Beck from high on the wall. She always appeared fearsome until you got to know her, Beck thought with affection. She squinted at the picture in the golden gloom. Good grief, it could be me, she thought. The Aunt Bess in the picture was younger than when Beck knew her. Straight-backed, strong and indomitable in her khaki riding habit. She held a rifle over her left shoulder and rested one leather-booted foot on the head of a dead lion. I was so happy here, Beck said, addressing the portrait. I did love you, you know. I'm so sorry if you felt I neglected you. She swallowed back her tears. Where did you disappear to, Auntie? I'll find you, I promise, or die trying. Her eyes moved down the hall. Instead of snarling from the wall by the side of the photo, a once beautiful lion's head stared up at the ceiling from atop a glass-fronted credenza. Just another tattered remnant of the past. Fierce eyes, now dull with dusty cataracts. Its roar inaudible. Back then, timid as Becky was, she had been fascinated by the ferocious head, mesmerized by such a powerfully alive image of death. Come on, touch her, child, Aunt Bess said. I killed her myself while Gunter and I were on safari. Must be 15 years ago. She won't bite, I promise. Her great-aunt placed Becky's small hand on the coarse, furry head. Oh, Becky breathed. A real lioness. Magnificent, isn't she? Aunt Bess's stern face lit up, and her smoky laughter boomed through the house. To the left of the credenza stood the same hall table Beck remembered from her childhood, topped by the same glass tank containing the same dead reptiles. A baby crocodile and two stumpy-tailed blue-tongue lizards still lurked in the semi-dark. At 8, she had no knowledge of anything other than the small, untidy city unit where she and her parents lived. How exciting this strange house had seemed to her. What wonders it held. "What are they?" Becky asked. Her great-aunt took some pains with her explanations, enjoying the chance to educate. Becky's attention wandered as her eyes explored the other photos and memorabilia on the walls. "Come with me." Aunt Bess grabbed the little girl's hand and led her to a door hidden behind the staircase. "Open it," she commanded. Becky looked up. "Go ahead," her aunt encouraged, her eyes promising excitement and adventure. Becky's hand turned the large metal knob and pulled the door's heaviness wide. They descended into the cool cellar. Along with the root vegetables and pantry shelves loaded with preserves and pickles, stood a long glass case containing an enormous saltwater crocodile caught mid-snap. "That's the croc that got my Gunter. I plugged the bastard right between the eyes, I did," Auntie said. "Too late to save Gunter, though." She paused. "In the end, I couldn't bear to have the horrid creature on display upstairs. But neither can I get rid of him. He is my last contact with my darling Gunter. They are one." The creature was repulsively fascinating. He had a long snout, hooded eyes, and a wide head jammed onto his body, which widened out around his middle and tapered down to a long tail. Becky squatted down near the huge reptile's head. Its open maw was full of vicious-looking teeth. His eyes looked alive. He was hungry. He was angry. He wanted revenge. "Arg!" Becky jumped up and hid her face in Aunt Bess's skirt. "What on earth's got into you, child? He's alive. He wants to eat me." Her aunt wrapped her in a warm embrace and gave a laugh. "You silly goose. He is quite dead, I assure you. Come on, time for cordial and cake." Beck could hear her aunt's deep laughter and booming voice echoing up from the past. A shiver of apprehensive excitement tingled her spine. Is the beast still down there? She turned to her left. Beck sucked air, felt her bladder contract. Falstaff stood in the doorway, watching her. He raised his eyebrows in benign inquiry. She ignored him. The cellar door opened easily this time. She flicked on the light. A single bare bulb dangling from the cobwebbed ceiling struggled to throw off the gloom. It moved in the slight breeze, creating weird, moving shadows. Musty air spiraled up to her, redolent with memories. The rough, strong feel of Aunt Bess's hand, the smell of earthy vegetables, the sharpness of pickling vinegar, and the sight of that amazing creature, so dangerous, so dead. With a dry mouth, Beck ducked her head and thudded down the dusty, wooden stairs. The glass case was empty. The lid hung to one side. The outline of the creature was clear in the dust, as though he had only recently vacated his glass coffin. Where had he gone? Beck's nostrils flared, assailed by a fetid, swampy miasma. She searched the shadows, half expecting to find the reptile hiding in their depths. Idiot, she mocked herself. A noise rustled behind her. She swung to face the stairs. A shadow stepped forward. Jesus, Falstaff. She clenched her hands and spoke through her teeth. You nearly gave me a heart attack. I am sorry I startled you. Falstaff's oily obsequiousness belied the glint in his dark orbs. He gave a snort, showed his teeth. Beck stared into the reptilian black of his expressionless, hooded eyes. Her pupils dilated. She found herself unable to move, unable to think. He stepped closer, brought up his hand. Cool leather caressed her face. The cobwebbed light flickered, giving his movements a jerky, surreal effect. She smelled the earthy, overpowering maleness of him. Her senses reeled. Time held its breath. What you want? Beck forced the words from her constricted throat. Just you, he grunted. My Becky. She moved her head from side to side. No, you've always known. You, the last remnant of Bess, Falstaff hissed. He lifted his other hand, placed it at the base of her throat, where her carotid pounded irregularly. His grip tightened. Goose flesh prickled Beck's spine. Her heart fluttered in its bony cage. She couldn't withdraw her gaze, couldn't move. He brought ice-cold lips down. His fetid breath entered her lungs. The flickering light snapped off. A day to remember. Francina Tutiliogi sat up in bed, holding on to dear life the photo of the man who melted her heart, Troy Edwards. It was the night before the big day, the biggest day in her life, where she was going to walk down that aisle and say, I do, officially becoming Mrs. Troy Edwards. It was the moment her family had been awaiting, including all her cousins, distant and close, from all over the town. As she glanced at the photo of the striking young man, his golden hair that was slicked back, and ocean blue eyes that possessed serenity in them, with whom she'd spend the rest of her life. She sighed dreamily as she began to reminisce about the first time they laid eyes on each other. 1 year ago, during the summer, Troy was a student at the University of Cambridge studying English when he was offered a study abroad program that gave him the opportunity to travel to Italy. The summer program lasted for 7 weeks, and it was during one of those 7 weeks when he made a chance encounter with Francina. She was making her way back home from grocery shopping, and he was trying to find the best restaurant in town. She bumped into him, both hands carrying bags filled with vegetables and other ingredients for dinner. With a carrot falling to the ground, he picked it up for her, and when she looked up, she was enthralled by what she saw. With a sheepish grin, he spoke to her in flawless Italian, asking her for directions to the nearest restaurant for dinner. She laughed, replying to him in Italian that she could speak English as well, and she invited him to dine with her and her family so that he was not alone. Leave it to Francina to show generosity to a complete stranger, especially to an Englishman as good-looking as Troy was, with his sexy accent. She liked that he made an effort to communicate with her in Italian. Not many foreigners, yet alone Americans, would have gone out of their way to do that. Troy followed Francina to her home, where she introduced him to her family. He shook hands with Francina's father, Marco, and her mother, Martina. He also got to know her cousins, Elisa, Paolo, and Natalia, as well as her maternal grandparents, Rosa Maria and Giuseppe. Francina did not have any siblings, so her cousins were like the siblings she'd never had. Troy was an only child as well, so this was the first thing that bonded them as something they had in common. Despite Marco's protectiveness of his only daughter interacting with a man who was not Italian, he still got along with Troy, as did the rest of the family. Troy was a pleasant guest, and he was able to tell the family about who he was. They were impressed by his academic background and his flawless Italian, which eased the initial tensions between them when they encouraged him to speak English to them. Francina was impressed by Troy's ability to charm her family, and for the first time in her life, she fell in love without even realizing it. He charmed his way into her heart, and she wanted to make sure he never forgot. So, when dinner was over and he was getting ready to leave, Francina walked Troy out and thanked him for his company. "I hope to see you again sometime soon," she said. "I'll see what I can do." He gave her that unforgettable smile before he left, and Francina sighed as she thought about the handsome man who came into her home that night and stole her heart away. As a 17-year-old girl, she'd never felt this way about anyone until she laid eyes on Troy. Now, it's been a whole year since that memorable night when she met him, and Francina was eager to marry Troy. She was 18, and he was 23, so she was not too young to get married. This was a time when it was the norm for women to wed at a young age, and Francina's family strongly believed that she was old enough to fall in love and marry. In their eyes, she was no longer a little girl. Marco realized this when Troy came over last week and asked for his permission to marry his beautiful, precious daughter. He trusted and loved Troy enough to consider him to be the son that he'd never had. and he eventually offered the young man his blessing to wed Francina. The next day, Martina and Rosa Maria accompanied Troy to the jewelry store to find the most beautiful ring for Francina, which took them an hour until he found the perfect one. When Troy realized how expensive it cost, he was unsure if it was worth it to spend pocket money on a ring that Francina might not appreciate later in life. He was not employed at the moment, so this would pose a potential financial threat. Rosa Maria, giving him a sympathetic smile, suggested, "I suppose it would be better if you could just give her mine instead." She took off her ring and gave it to him. "Her grandfather gave this to me, which I also gave to her mother here. And now I'm giving it to you to give to her. This ring is a symbol of love in our family, and I have no doubt that you'll make her happy." Troy examined the ring before he could accept it. "Are you sure, Signora?" he asked. Rosa Maria nodded in response as a tear fell down her eye. Martina held her mother's hand. She could tell this was an emotional decision for her mother to make, for the sake of her lovely daughter. Martina said, "Real love does not cost anything. The gift you give must come straight from the heart. Francina shall treasure this all the days of her life. This we are certain of." Rosa Maria had brought her ring's jewelry box with her to secure the ring for the time being. The three of them thanked the store owner for her time before they departed, and Troy's decision was set. He was going to propose to Francina that evening during dinner. That evening, Francina was wearing a lovely aqua blue dress, looking as stunning as ever. She was elated to see Troy join her for dinner, for two at her house. And here he was, dressed in a suit and tie. She didn't know it, but he had the ring in his pocket for safekeeping. He would take it out during dessert time, but for now, it was time to enjoy the main course, while a musician that her mother hired played gentle, romantic music on the piano. When it was time for dessert, the maid came to collect their dinner plates so that the cook could serve the tiramisu and panna cotta. Francina's favorite dessert since childhood was panna cotta, so it was a miracle that the cook could read her mind by providing her favorite dessert. The main course wasn't all that bad either, but the dessert was the best part. Troy held Francina's hand and gazed lovingly into her chocolate-brown eyes. "Have I ever told you how beautiful you looked tonight?" he asked in a smooth voice that caused her heart to beat. "You tell me that all the time," she replied with a giggle. "Well, that is the truth, and I'll never let you forget it. I love you, Francina. I can't explain it, but you mean the world to me. I've never met a woman as beautiful as you. I never felt this way about anyone else before, if you can believe it." Francina smiled. She believed it. He was her first and only. "I love you too, Troy." I love to spend time with you. And I love how happy you make my family. Their happiness is important to me, too. Thank you for opening my eyes and my heart to see what true love is. I do what I do best. He grinned as he made his bold move by getting down on one knee and taking out the ring. And this is the best thing I'll ever do. I want to spend the rest of my life with you, Francina. I know your family must think that you're much too young. But for me, this feels right. I don't wish to wait a minute longer. Life is short and precious. Precious, just like you. A tear of joy ran down Francina's face. For a second, she thought she was dreaming, but she was not. This was reality. Troy Edwards was really proposing to her. Troy, she began. Shh, don't say anything yet. I love you with all my heart, Francina. Your family has been generous and kind to me, especially your father. He gave me his blessing to ask for your hand in marriage. He loves you and is rather protective of you, which is a great thing, because it means that you come from a loving family who want nothing but the best for you. They can agree that I'm the best for you, right? So, what do you say, Francina Tutiliogi? Will you make me the happiest man in the world and be my wife? Another tear ran down Francina's face as she glanced down at the ring. She recognized it as her grandmother's ring, and it was a family treasure. Rosa Maria had handed it down to Martina, and Martina decided to give it to Troy to give to Francina. Touched by the beauty of the ring, Francina had no choice but to say yes to forever. Yes, yes, 1,000,000 times yes. She squealed with joy as he put the ring on her finger. Troy announced. She said yes, everybody. Her family arrived in the kitchen to congratulate the young couple. They had organized this dinner so that Francina and Troy could share a private moment with each other as he proposed to her. She just made him the happiest man alive by saying yes. For the rest of the week, after that memorable evening, Francina and her family began preparing for the wedding. Troy's family and friends flew in from England so that they could be there for him. Now, the two families were eager to celebrate their children's eternal bliss. The night before the big day, Francina sat up in bed as she glanced at Troy's photo on her nightstand, reminiscing about the first time she met him, and her fears were eased. Everything was going to be perfect. She woke up in a blissful mood the next morning. A bright and beautiful Saturday. That morning, her family was cheerful as they worked with the photographers and makeup artists to capture as many photos of the bride-to-be as possible. Marco and Giuseppe decided to head to the church to inform the priest that they were getting Francina ready for the occasion. And they stayed in the church with the priest and incoming guests for the ceremony. The women remained in the house with Francina along with her cousins, for moral support as she wore her elegant, long-sleeved, V-neck lace gown. It was an original, nothing like what her mother, grandmother, or aunts had worn before. Rosa Maria couldn't contain her emotions as she wept at the sight of her stunning granddaughter. She told Francina, "Sei una sposa bellissima. You make a beautiful bride." Francina, flattered by the compliment, gave her grandmother a hug. "Nonna, non piangere. Se piangi, mi farai piangere anche tu." Grandma, don't cry. If you cry, you'll make me cry too. Rosa Maria told Francina that she'd see her downstairs after her cousin, Elisa, helped her with her necklace. After Rosa Maria left, Elisa went to her room to find a more stylish necklace for Francina. In the moment that her cousin and grandmother left, and Francina was alone in her room, Francina went up to the window to open it so that she could get some fresh air in her room. It was supposed to be a very warm afternoon, but then she felt someone shove her in the back, causing her to stumble backward onto the window, shattering it. And she screamed as she fell many feet from the window to the ground. Elisa returned to her room, dumbstruck when she saw the shattered glass, and peered out at her injured cousin on the ground and cried out in terror. Francina, Rosa Maria, and the others came running to the room. "Cosa è successo?" Rosa Maria asked Elisa, seeking to know what happened. Elisa replied, sobbing, "È Francina, è caduta dalla finestra." It's Francina. She fell out the window. Everyone gasped in shock and horror as they came up to the room, glanced at the remains of the broken glass window on the floor. Martina called 911 to report that her daughter had fallen out of the window. She offered to stay behind with Francina until help arrived, while Rosa Maria and the other women volunteered to go to the church to break the shocking news to Marco, Giuseppe, and even Troy. The wedding would have to be postponed for now. Everything happened within minutes. Paramedics came to transport Francina to the hospital, and the family was left reeling from the shocking news. Even Troy was devastated that such an unfortunate thing could happen to the woman that he loved, who he was supposed to share the rest of his life with. Now it wasn't to be. Instead, she was fighting for her life, not knowing whether she would make it or not. The doctors told the family that Francina had suffered significant head injuries and broken bones, so they were going to perform emergency surgery on her to save her life. In the meantime, investigators were around to examine the fall, to determine how she could have fallen out the window. A week later, Francina was in the process of recovering from the surgery, and her family became devoted to caring for her, including Troy. Although they did not get married as planned, he was still determined to take care of her, as if she was his wife. That's how much he loved her, and how much he was willing to stick by her through the thick and thin, in sickness and in health. for better or worse. The vows he was following before he actually had a chance to say, "I do," to her. A week later, Francina was still in the process of recovery. That night, as she was about to wash her face in the bathroom before heading to bed, she couldn't help but overhear the conversation taking place downstairs in the living room. She heard Elisa sobbing uncontrollably and the others comforting her. "Va bene, Elisa," Martina reassured her, telling her that everything was going to be okay. "No, non lo è," Elisa replied in between her sobs. "È tutta colpa mia. Ho spinto Francina apposta. Vedi, volevo ferirla, perché sono così gelosa di lei. Ottiene sempre tutto ciò che vuole. E ora sta per sposarsi con un uomo che ama. Non è giusto, perché che mi dici di me? Non posso farci niente se provo così tanto risentimento nei suoi confronti. Per l'amor del cielo, ha solo 18 anni." Elisa had just practically confessed to having pushed Francina out of the window deliberately while her cousin was alone in the room. She was supposed to help Francina put on her necklace, but instead, she ended up pushing her out the window instead. She wanted to hurt Francina, having always been jealous of her for whatever reason, believing that Francina always got everything she wanted, especially now that she was bound to marry the man that she loved, Troy Edwards. Elisa said she couldn't help the resentment that she'd apparently always felt toward Francina, and now she's trying to justify it by saying that Francina's the one getting married at only 18. Elisa was 23, the same age as Troy, and she herself was single and unattached. Men tended to gravitate more toward Francina than to her, or at least that's how she felt. That was a criminal confession in a nutshell. Francina wanted to go down and confront Elisa, but her weakened condition made her too tired to engage in any yelling. She'd yell at her tomorrow. Instead, she gave Troy a phone call to explain everything to him, and she asked him to report this to the authorities the next morning, which he agreed to do. This was her plan of revenge against Elisa, turning her in. When Francina woke up the next morning, Martina offered to help her downstairs to the kitchen for a nice breakfast. She asked her daughter, "Come ti senti stamattina?" wanting to know how Francina was feeling. "Sto bene, grazie, mamma," Francina replied, saying that she was feeling fine. Rosa Maria gave Francina her dish of eggs and toast, as well as a cup of orange juice, smiling adoringly at her brave granddaughter, who was handling all this with grace. "Grazie mille, nonna. Di niente, amor mio." Rosa Maria gave her a kiss on the forehead to say, "You're welcome, my love." At that moment, there was a knock on the door, and the officers called out for Elisa. Elisa introduced herself to them as they informed her that she was officially charged with assault toward Francina by shoving her out the window. Elisa sobbed, apologizing profusely to Francina and the others, although there was very little her apologies could do now. With delightful smiles, the whole family watched her being escorted by law enforcement. And for the first time in her life, Francina felt victorious toward her bitter, vengeful cousin, who was now going to face the consequences of her terrible actions. Like a breath of cold air, by December, Montreal was buried under a heavy coat of snow that had been piling up since late October. Gray slush lined the streets, the result of salt and traffic grinding the once pristine snow into a dirty, icy mess. The biting cold cut through even the thickest coats, and the endless scraping of shovels and snowplows provided a constant backdrop to city life. Holiday decorations were everywhere, but their cheer felt commercial, more of a reminder to spend money than a celebration. The air smelled faintly of exhaust and wet wool, the kind of scent that lingered in crowded metro stations and poorly insulated homes. Yet, as Veronique walked through the city streets, her boots crunching against the fresh snow, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. She'd always loved the holidays. As a child, she'd marveled at the shimmering decorations, the sound of boots crunching against ice, and the occasional scent of poutine wafting from nearby diners. But this year, the joy seemed oddly hollow, as if it were a beautiful facade masking something dark and unspoken. She paused at the corner by Sherbrooke, her breath curling in front of her in frosty puffs. It wasn't just the odd unease she'd felt all week. There were other signs, too. Small things that would have gone unnoticed if she weren't already on edge. Like the fact that the street lights on Peel Street flickered every time she passed, even though they stayed steady for everyone else. Or the elderly woman at the grocery store who stared at her just a little too long, her milky eyes narrowing in suspicion before she hurried away. Then there was the panhandler. Brian had been a fixture outside McGill University's McLennan Library for as long as Veronique could remember. Now in her third year, she'd often passed him on her way to classes. Wrapped in layers of tattered coats and scarves, he was well known among the students, who occasionally dropped coins into his cup. Brian had a reputation for getting himself thrown in jail during the harshest nights of winter, a desperate but effective way to stay warm. Last year, however, everything had changed. Brian had started muttering about the Winter Watcher, claiming to have seen him lurking in the city. His stories grew more frantic, and the locals dismissed him as crazy. Then, one night, Brian's body had been found in an alley, his lifeless form curled against the icy ground. Officially, it was chalked up to exposure, but his wild claims lingered in Veronique's mind Lately, she'd been seeing Brian again. Or at least, she thought she had. Every time Veronique walked by the library, he'd be sitting there, looking directly at her, his eyes impossibly sharp and knowing. But no one else seemed to notice him. When she asked Tara, her friend had just laughed nervously. "Brian's been gone for a year, Veronique. Maybe you're just remembering him." And when she glanced back, it was as if he'd vanished into thin air. "Get a grip," Veronique muttered to herself, pulling her scarf tighter around her neck. She glanced around the bustling street. Everything looked perfectly ordinary. People bustled into malls or hurried underground into the metro system to escape the biting wind. And yet, she still felt the weight of something looming just beyond reach. She turned toward Upstairs Jazz Bar and Grill on Bishop Street, a cozy spot where she could grab a reasonably priced lunch and momentarily escape the cold. As she walked, she couldn't shake the nagging sensation that Brian's ghostly presence had followed her. Even now, she felt as if a pair of eyes were drilling into her back, though every glance over her shoulder revealed nothing but bustling pedestrians. The regular waiter, Roman, who hailed from Poland, greeted her with a familiar nod. People like Roman weren't called baristas in the 1990s, but he knew her usual order by heart. "The usual, Veronique?" Roman asked, already reaching for a menu, but knowing she probably wouldn't need it. Veronique nodded, offering a half smile. She found a seat near the small stage, cradling her coffee as jazz music played softly in the background, its warmth seeping into her hands. She stared out at the bustling street, searching for what? She didn't know, but the feeling of being watched pressed against her back, making her fidget in her chair. "You okay?" Roman's voice startled her. He had appeared beside her, his concern etched across his features. "Yeah, I'm fine," Veronique said quickly. "Just tired, I guess." Roman hesitated, then nodded. "Well, let me know if you need anything." When he walked away, Veronique caught sight of something in the reflection of the window. The panhandler from outside the library, standing still as stone on the opposite side of the street. She whipped her head around, but the spot was empty. The crowd moved on, oblivious. Veronique's pulse quickened. She could have sworn she'd seen him. Not just anyone, either. It was unmistakably the same man. His ragged layers and piercing gaze haunted her thoughts. She shook her head, taking a long sip of her mocha. Maybe she was imagining things. That night, the whispers returned. Veronique lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, her heart pounding in the dark. The murmurs were faint, but unmistakable, as if coming from the walls themselves. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. The whispers stopped abruptly, leaving the room in suffocating silence. Veronique reached for her phone, its glow a small comfort in the oppressive dark. She typed a quick text to her best friend, Tara. "I think I'm losing it." Weird noises in the house again. A reply came almost instantly. "Want me to come over?" Veronique hesitated. She didn't want to drag Tara into this. Whatever this was. "No, I'll be fine. Just needed to tell someone." She set the phone down and closed her eyes, willing sleep to come. When it finally did, her dreams were restless. A blur of faceless figures, snow turning crimson, and the sound of bells tolling deep and low. The next morning, Veronique decided she needed answers. If she didn't do something, the unease would consume her. She started with the McGill Library, its towering stone facade dusted with fresh snow. The interior smelled of aged paper and varnished wood. The librarian, Mrs. Havisham, greeted her with a kind smile. "Researching something special?" Veronique hesitated, unsure how to phrase her question without sounding unhinged. "Actually, have you ever heard of anything strange happening around here? Like weird stories or legends?" Mrs. Havisham's smile faltered. "Strange how? I don't know. Just things that don't feel right. Or people seeing things that aren't there." The librarian's gaze sharpened. She glanced around to make sure they were alone before leaning in. "You're not the first to ask questions like that. This city has its quirks, let's say, especially around this time of year." "What do you mean?" Veronique pressed, her pulse quickening. Mrs. Havisham hesitated. "There's an old story about someone called the Watcher. It's just a folk tale, of course, but some say he appears in times of great personal unrest. They say he watches, waiting for something. But here's the strange part. Only the one he's watching can see him." Veronique swallowed hard. "Have you seen him?" The librarian's face darkened. "No, and I hope I never do." That evening, Veronique found herself standing in her living room, staring at the Christmas tree she'd painstakingly decorated the week before. The ornaments gleamed under the soft glow of the fairy lights, but the sight brought her no comfort. Mrs. Havisham's words echoed in her mind. The Watcher. She'd looked up the story online when she got home. Most of the information was vague, but the consistent thread was that he appeared during moments of deep vulnerability, as if drawn to people who felt unseen themselves. The knock at the door made her jump. She turned, her heart racing. It was probably Tara, she told herself, though a chill crept over her as she remembered the last time she'd seen Brian. Was he outside again? Could ghosts knock? But when she opened the door, no one was there. Just the cold wind and the faint sound of carolers in the distance. She stepped outside, peering into the night. Snow fell softly, blanketing the world in an eerie stillness. Then she saw him, Brian, standing at the end of her driveway. There was no mistaking it. His tattered layers and unblinking stare were as vivid as they had been when he was alive. She wanted to call out, to demand answers, but her voice caught in her throat. The figure didn't move, only watching her with an intensity that froze her in place. Veronique's breath caught in her throat. She stumbled back inside, slamming the door and locking it. Her hands shook as she grabbed her phone to call Tara. But before she could dial, the whispers started again, louder this time, surrounding her. She clamped her hands over her ears, but it was no use. The lights flickered. Then, with a final, shuddering gasp, they went out. In the darkness, Veronique felt the weight of his presence. She didn't need to see him to know he was there, just beyond the door, watching, waiting, and for the first time, she understood what he wanted. Her. The next morning, Veronique's house stood as it always had, its cheerful decorations a stark contrast to the unease that lingered in the air. Neighbors passed by, unaware of what had transpired within those walls. But Veronique was gone, leaving behind only faint footprints in the snow leading toward the city streets. And in Montreal's busy streets, the holiday festivities carried on. But every so often, someone would pause, glancing over their shoulder, a fleeting sense of being watched brushing against their mind before disappearing like a breath of cold air. Whispers in the Snow. Title: Whispers in the Snow. Emily pressed her forehead against the cold glass of the window, her breath leaving no trace on the surface. Outside, the village lay blanketed in snow, every rooftop twinkling with warm lights. Christmas Eve had always felt quieter since Daniel's death, but this year, the silence pressed harder against her ribs. She ran her fingers along the edges of a faded photograph. Daniel's grin, all teeth and mischief, stared back at her. He was only 17, a car accident on the icy roads. At least, that's what everyone had told her. But no matter how many years passed, Emily could never quite remember the details. Or her mind was forcing her not to. "I wish you were still here," she whispered. The old box of decorations sat half empty at her feet. Relics of past holidays she'd tried to avoid. Digging through it felt more like excavation than preparation. Near the bottom, something cold brushed her fingers. A small pocket watch cracked along the face. Daniel's. It was frozen at 11:58, the time of his death. Emily traced the hands of the watch with her thumb, hesitating for only a moment before winding it. A single tick echoed in the room, her vision blurred, and the world dipped beneath her feet. She stumbled forward, clutching the mantel. When she looked at the clock on the wall, the time read midnight. 2. Emily woke to the sound of something sizzling in the kitchen. The sun cut across the wooden floor, spilling warmth she hadn't felt in years. She pushed herself up, rubbing her eyes. With surprise, She noticed she was still holding Daniel's watch in her hand tightly, as if someone else carefully passed it to her. Her attention shortly moved to her desk side. Her decorations in her room was changed. The old box of decorations on the floor was gone, replaced by a series of drawers. Her desk looked less messy. Her daily makeups and the mirror were gone. There was scent that didn't belong to her. Footsteps moved behind her. Morning. It's a male voice. Her heart almost stopped beating. She turned slowly. Daniel stood in the kitchen, spatula in hand, flipping eggs as if this was the most natural thing in the world. The plate slipped from her fingers, shattering across the floor. Daniel glanced over his shoulder, frowning. "You all right?" he asked, stepping forward carefully. "You're acting weird." Emily couldn't breathe. Her legs shook beneath her, but she closed the distance between them, pulling him into a tight embrace. "Daniel," she choked out. You're here." Daniel stiffened for a second before hugging her back. Where else would I be? Tears streamed down Emily's face as she buried herself in the scent of him. A mixture of fresh soap and a scent just belonged to him only. No one else did. She could feel him gently tapping her back, but something was different. She pulled back to look at him. His eyes, warm but unfamiliar, lingered a little too long on her face. "I thought..." She shook her head, laughing through her tears. "I thought I lost you." Daniel chuckled softly. "You're not making any sense. Sit down. I made breakfast." She squeezed her cheek and quickly checked her phone screen. It said, Friday, 25th December, through 3. The snow outside sparkled under the afternoon sun, but Emily barely noticed it. She trailed Daniel through the village, where decorations hung on every door. She had expected people to stare, to question why he was here, but no one said a word. As they passed a bakery, the old woman squinted at them through the window. Her hand paused mid-air as she hung a wreath, but she quickly looked away. Emily squeezed Daniel's arm. "Did you see that?" "See what?" She was staring at us, like she'd seen a ghost. Daniel simply shrugged. Maybe she's not used to seeing you out and about, but Emily wasn't convinced. Was it? She was pretty sure she went there a lot. She even went there yesterday, and she said "Merry Christmas" to her before she left. Maybe she was just having a multi-layered dream that she could not easily wake up. If so, she hoped she would never wake up again. Later that evening, she sat on the sofa as Daniel strung lights around the tree. His humming filled the room, soft, rhythmic, but the tune was unfamiliar. "What's that song?" she asked, tilting her head. Daniel didn't stop. "My favorite Christmas song." Emily frowned. "No way. It's not. You always hated Christmas songs. You said your ear would get broken if you listened to them all the time like that." Daniel paused, blinking. "Right," he said lightly. "Must have slipped my mind." But the humming resumed, louder this time. By the time night fell, Emily couldn't shake the weight in her chest. Something felt wrong. She climbed the stairs quietly, pausing by Daniel's room. The door was cracked open. Inside, Daniel sat at the edge of the bed, staring at the floor. He didn't notice her. His lips moved soundlessly, whispering something she couldn't hear. Emily leaned closer. "Daniel?" His head snapped toward her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. His eyes reflected the faint light from the hallway, dark and unreadable. "Can't sleep," he muttered, brushing past her as he slipped out. Emily stood frozen in the doorway. She glanced back at his room, at the photo resting on his nightstand. Her breath caught. The photograph was the same one from the mantel, but her face had been scratched out. Emily's hands trembled as she flipped through the old diary she'd found in the attic. The entries were hers, but she didn't remember writing them. The final entry read, "I miss him. Maybe if I wind the clock tonight, things will be different." The next page was blank. Footsteps sounded behind her. She turned sharply to see Daniel standing at the bottom of the attic stairs, the soft glow of the tree lights casting shadows across his face. "Looking for something?" he asked. "Why is my face scratched out of the photos?" Emily demanded, holding the diary close. "What's happening to me?" Daniel stepped forward slowly, his expression unreadable. "I didn't want to tell you," he said softly. "I thought it would be easier if you didn't remember." "Remember what?" Daniel's voice cracked as he said, "You didn't come back, Emily. Not completely." The diary slipped from her hands. "You died 5 years ago," Daniel whispered. "The same night as me." Emily stumbled back, the room spinning. Her reflection in the window, always faint, always delayed, finally faded to nothing. In the silence, Daniel placed the pocket watch on the floor. "I'm sorry," he said, "but you shouldn't be here." Emily couldn't remember when he got the watch. Even this morning, the watch was with her. She tried to open the window, to wake herself up. It's been a longest dream ever in her life. Then she noticed her hand slowly passed through the window frame. The snow fell quietly as Daniel stood in the graveyard, gazing at the headstone. "Emily, beloved sister, died Christmas Eve 5 years ago." A single set of footprints trailed behind him in the snow. A pastor's burden. In a small hospital room, a visibly shaken woman sat slumped in a chair next to her daughter's bed, watching her chest rise and fall as oxygen moved from the tubes into her lungs. Dark circles framed her eyes, which were heavy with exhaustion and worry. When she heard the news announcement, she looked at the small TV screen and raised the volume quickly. Tonight, a local pastor is in custody after turning himself in for a hit and run of 13-year-old girl Emma Campbell that occurred only a week ago. Emma was reported missing by her family before she was found at Mercy Hospital as a Jane Doe almost a day later. Emma is currently in critical condition with injuries that include blood force trauma and spinal fractures. This all unfolded this morning when 54-year-old David O'Reilly of the Church of God in Christ reportedly turned himself in and admitted to hitting her and fleeing the scene. According to the church, O'Reilly has served as a priest in the Church of God in Christ of White County since 2002 and has even presided over this past Sunday's Mass. Interestingly, the church caught on fire Monday morning after it ignited in a building nearby. Luckily, no one was injured. However, a few people were transported to a local hospital for smoke inhalation. The police have told us that this remains an ongoing investigation. Meanwhile, the community and friends of the Campbell family are holding a vigil. Emma's mother told us, "I am just terrified. I want Emma back. I don't care about anything else." Reporting live from Mercy Hospital, this is Angelica Sanchez, CBS News, as the woman watched. She sobbed quietly while clasping her daughter's hand, her other arm wrapped protectively around herself, as if trying to shield them both from some hidden danger. She was still shocked at the whirlwind of events that rocked her family for the past few days. God was punishing her, she thought. Not very far away, 2 police detectives walked into a room where David O'Reilly sat, his head hunched over in a metal chair and his hands clasped tightly. One of the detectives cleared his throat as they sat opposite him, while the other shuffled papers as if he had not just gone over every paper before coming in. "Mr. O'Reilly, I am Detective Jameson, and this is Detective Phillips. Do you need anything before we start? Coffee or some water?" David shook his head, which prompted Detective Phillips to begin. "All right, Mr. O'Reilly, walk me through what happened last Thursday." David sighed and shook his head before speaking slowly. "Like I told Officer Jones, I was heading home on Eli Road. I had a lot on my mind and didn't see the poor girl. I slammed on my brake immediately. I ran out of the car, and she was lying there, and blood was everywhere. I panicked. I did not know what to do. I do not carry a cell phone. I cried for help, but no one was around. I thought I could take her to a hospital, but I know you are not supposed to move people. And also, I recently had back surgery, so I was not sure if I could. I went back into my toe, and I had all the intention of going to the nearest station, but I don't know what happened. The devil is a powerful enemy. I got scared. The devil. I see. Where were you coming from?" "I drive to a local donation center now and then to buy books for the children in my parish." "Right. We called after your initial statement, and while everyone knew who you were, no one could confirm you were there last Thursday." "Yes, I realized that I forgot my wallet at home and just turned around and did not make it there." "I see. And what happened when you returned home?" "I parked the car My wife was helping my oldest son, Adam, with homework, and the other two were playing in their room. Deacon Cowley came over, and we discussed Sunday's sermon. When he left, I put Faith and Jacob to bed and showered. After Adam went to bed, I told my wife what happened. Help me understand this. You are a man of God. You teach His word. You know right from wrong and good from evil. Yet you hit an innocent young girl and you walk away? How so? I don't know, Detective. As I said, the devil is powerful. He feeds on our weaknesses. I thought I was going to lose my family. I got scared and... Spare me the spiritual nonsense. Did you know Ms. Campbell before? Detective Phillips interjected. Clearly, he played the bad cop. What? No. I mean, I don't know. As far as I know, we don't have a Campbell in our parish. But people come and go all the time. Wait, why are you even asking? Several reasons, Pastor. Several reasons. They both stood up and prepared to leave the room. David looked at them and asked if he could know these reasons. But they shook their heads and opened the door to leave. David yelled as they walked out that it was an accident. As they walked through the precinct hallway, Detective Jameson asked, "What do you think?" Too early, but something does not feel right. My gut tells me he is lying about something. Do we have any witnesses yet? Also, where is the wife? We need to talk to her. And how is the girl doing? No witnesses, and I believe she is in the hospital with her daughter. Faith is still in critical condition, and doctors are not optimistic. Elizabeth woke up to the beeping sound on Faith's monitors. A few seconds later, the nurse came in to check. After a few taps, the beeping sound stopped. The nurse mentioned that the IV will need to be changed soon. Elizabeth asked if there was any word from the pulmonologist they had been waiting for. The nurse shook her head and said she would send a message. Elizabeth asked why the doctor took so long to come to the hospital. The nurse said she did not know, but that he was currently unavailable. Before Elizabeth could protest, two detectives appeared at the door, and the nurse excused herself. Mrs. O'Reilly, we are sorry to disturb you, and to come at such a difficult time. However, we have a few questions. Elizabeth's eyes flickered with apprehension before her guarded wariness took over. She stood up and walked with them outside of the room. Mrs. O'Reilly, do you know what time your husband returned home last Thursday? I'm not sure. David usually meets with Deacon Cowley around 8 p.m. on Thursdays, so I am guessing before that time. Do you know where he was that day? I believe he went to the local donation center. And when did he leave to go there? I can't say, as I was not home. I picked up the kids from school and dropped them off at my sister's. And what time would you say that was? Probably around 4 p.m. when I was at my sister's house. And where did you go? I sometimes help local businesses with their books. So I was at the local motel on Siesta Drive. Eddie's place? Huh? Oh yes, Edward? Mrs. O'Reilly, we talked to many folks, and they all mentioned how kind and thoughtful your husband is. Don't you think it is strange for him to leave a poor girl to die after he hit her with his car? Well, yes, of course, Detective. Mrs. O'Reilly, Angela, has your husband ever hurt you or the children? What? No. David would never hurt. She paused. She wanted to say anything, but stopped. Tears filled her eyes as she tried to finish the sentence, but couldn't. All right, Mrs. O'Reilly, that will do for now. We will be in touch. The detectives turned and left her standing in the hallway, like a house remaining after a tornado ripped everything around. After talking to the wife, Detective Phillips was more convinced that something was fishy. He told his partner they needed to step it up. By the time they returned to the precinct, they had camera footage from some businesses and the report from the fire department to review. Unfortunately, the footage wasn't helpful. The fire that destroyed the garage, which had the car involved in the accident, started with an outdated breaker box with worn connectors, which caused the system to overload and cause a fire. It was just a coincidence. Detective Phillips thought it a very convenient coincidence. He needed to try something else. Mr. O'Reilly, you are a good pastor. Some of our officers know you and attend your mass. Some even say you are too good. So I did a little digging, and guess what I found? Since 2003, we have had 6 murders that have remained unsolved. All of them were within a 10-mile radius of your church. All of the victims were teenagers between the ages of 13 and 18. So, is there anything you want to tell us? This is ridiculous. I came here and confessed alone without even being considered a suspect. I know I did something terrible, and God will be my judge. I am unsure what you are trying to prove here, but I have been cooperative, answered all your questions, and have nothing more to add. We appreciate your honesty, Mr. O'Reilly, but we are trying to do our job to ensure justice is served. Detective Jameson responded, I have done my best to help. And a knock on the door started David and interrupted him. Someone slightly opened the door, and both detectives left. Fear flashed across David's face before he put his face in his hands and prayed. The detectives walked quickly to their car to drive to Mercy Hospital. Emma gained her consciousness. The doctors refused to let them interview her, but after some negotiation, they settled on being able to talk to her for a minute. Emma confirmed the vehicle, but couldn't determine who was driving, as everything was still foggy. Her father and the doctor told the detectives that this was enough for now. Frustrated, they left without much progress. Back at St. John's Hospital, where Faith was still hooked up to an oxygen tank, her mother received word from the nurse that the pulmonologist was on his way and should be here any minute. The nurse then lowered her voice and whispered to her, I am not supposed to tell you, and I probably would get in trouble for it. But the specialist is Dr. Campbell. She paused for a second and looked at the mother, but it didn't seem to click, so she continued. You know he is the father of the poor girl who... You know. The room seemed to close around her as the weight of the revelation hit her. Guilt surged within her as her chest felt a sudden pressure that made it hard to breathe. The nurse helped her sit on a chair and brought a cup of iced water. Angela rubbed her temples and tried to push the images away. Her guilt was gnawing on her insides, whispering incessantly that God was punishing her. She couldn't escape it or hide from it. She tried to isolate herself in her daughter's room, spending hours sitting in the dark and pushing away friends and family. No one could understand the magnitude of her guilt. She buried her face in her hands and started crying before a knock on the door got her attention. It was Dr. Campbell. The next day, the detectives returned to Emma's room to ask her more questions. Her memory was still hazy, but she could better describe the car and confirm that it was a man driving it, not someone she knew. When given a picture of Pastor O'Reilly, she couldn't identify it as him. Detective Jameson thought that, at this point, the case was almost closed. They had a confession. The victim identified the car, the time, and that a man was driving. However, Detective Phillips still felt something was wrong. So he decided to try another strategy. They went to the interrogation room again, and Detective Phillips said the 5 words any culprit would want to hear. You are free to go. David did not move. What? You are free to go, sir. You will still be held liable for perjury. But for now, you may go. But don't leave town. Detective, I confessed. I don't understand. Yes? But fortunately, Miss Campbell regained her consciousness last night. David became quiet, and fear overcame his face. He didn't know what to think. He replayed the events of that fateful night in his head. Angela came home with a shocked look on her face. She broke down, sobbing, and told him what had happened. The car, the sudden flash of a figure on the road, the screeching brakes, the crash, and then silence. The children came down the stairs after they heard their mother crying. He looked at them and didn't hesitate for a second. He hugged his family and told them to go back upstairs. When Deacon Cowley came, he told him he wasn't feeling great and told him to work on the sermon himself. He sent him home, put the kids to bed, showered, and told his wife about his plan. She vehemently refused, but he convinced her it was best for the children. He couldn't do what she did. But now, it seems guilt has gotten to her. Look, It doesn't matter what the young lady said. I did it, okay? It was not Angela. Angela? Both detectives asked. Is it not what the girl said? Don't worry what she said. Are you saying it was your wife who was driving the car? I didn't say that. Now it makes sense. That's why I couldn't believe you. You lied to protect your wife. She hit the poor girl, panicked, went home, and you took the blame for her. No, I did it. I am telling you, I am the one who did it. Why you can't accept my confession? Because it is a lie, Pastor. I respect you for taking the blame, but listen to me. The girl isn't dead. With a confession, a good lawyer, and good behavior, your wife might spend a short time in prison. But I need your cooperation, okay? Detective Johnson will take your statement, okay? We will be right back as soon as they walked out. Detective Jameson, puzzled, pointed out that this didn't make sense. Emma confirmed that it was a man who drove the car. Detective Phillips smiled and mentioned that it didn't make sense and didn't say anything. They got into the car and started driving. Wait, this is not the way to the hospital. We are not going to hospital. I thought we were arresting Angela. We will. But first, we arrest the real culprit. And you are not going to tell me who it is, I'm guessing. Phillips smiled and shook his head. A few minutes later, they stopped before the Starry Night Motel. In less than a minute of questioning, Edward confessed it was him. Edward first met Angela at the church and was quickly drawn to her. He immediately jumped on the opportunity when he heard she worked with a few local businesses. After 3 kids, her marriage was stagnant, and with her husband being a pastor and always busy, she felt neglected. He tried many times, but she turned him down. Then, one day, she didn't. On the day of the accident, they had sex for the first time. She had a few glasses of wine, so he offered to drive closer to her house. He was so overjoyed to be with her that he didn't see the poor girl. At that moment, all his dreams turned into a nightmare. He tried to call the police, but she panicked and said no. She couldn't face her husband. When they saw a car's headlights coming, she told him to go back to his motel and that she would take care of it. He thought she would take the girl to the hospital, but when he heard nothing, he realized she wasn't. A month later, Detective Phillips stopped by Pastor O'Reilly's house. A moving truck was parked outside, and boxes were sitting out. David and his son gingerly walked out of the house, carrying a dresser. When they saw him, David told Adam to help his siblings. The detective picked up the dresser and helped bring it without saying a word. How can I help you, Detective? I just came to apologize, Pastor. I know I was harsh with you, and you didn't deserve that. Oh, that's all right. I lied to you, so you are fine. But how did you know? Let's call it instinct. That's a gift from God. Sure, Pastor. Speaking of which, oh, I knew you didn't just come to apologize. Ask your question. Seems I am not the only one with gifts. Of course not. God is generous. It was you who caused that fire, wasn't it? I swore I wouldn't lie again. So yes, it was me. Is that instinct too? The detective laughed and shook his head as he walked away, saying, "This was a gift from God." On loop. Maverick Kotzen, 12/27/24. On loop. It was less than an hour after my surgery that I realized I would never be able to forgive my surgeon. Merely a week prior, I had walked into my surgeon's office to go over the final details leading up to the procedure, what to eat and drink beforehand, what to not do, and a reiteration of the risks in order to confirm that I really wanted the procedure. Ever since I had fallen off a rock swing and slammed my elbow into a rock, my right arm hadn't been able to move or even bend, leading me to be effectively half as useful as I used to be. The choice to get a full reconstruction of my elbow was not an easy one. The way it had broken, there were far less invasive and safer procedures that were available to me. I was hesitant, but my surgeon took my hand, assured me that it was the best course of action, and said, "It's going to be okay." 3 days before the procedure, my anxiety had only worsened, and my partner had done the best they could to comfort me. They told me that the risks were still low, and that this procedure would return to me the full mobility I had before my life was turned upside down. Friends had reached out, comforting me and wishing me a speedy recovery, as if I had already gone through with the operation. It felt as if I had already been altered, physically and personally, by the procedure, despite not even having the surgery yet. Even my dog knew something was off, as he wagged his tail and snuggled up next to me every night in my bed, instead of sleeping in his dog bed like he always does. It felt like the natural rhythm of my life had been disrupted, and that nothing would ever feel the same way it did. I began to fantasize and romanticize my life before the accident, as if it had been the peak of existence. This, of course, glosses over the struggles I was having earlier that year to pay rent, repair my relationship with my parents, and help a friend through an accidental pregnancy. Through the storm of thoughts, I clutched desperately to the mast of the boat, repeating as the next big wave came to hit me, "It's going to be okay." 2 days before the procedure, the anxiety had not improved, and it was visible on my partner's face that they were clearly worried about me. My despondency when I was asked questions, my inattentiveness when attempting tasks with one arm, and even my lack of appetite were just a few of the worrying symptoms that were beginning to present themselves en masse. Behind my back, my partner was contacting my friends, trying to coordinate some kind of effort to boost my mood, all while I more or less lay in my bed all day, watching daytime television, and periodically getting up to use the restroom. In between naps and TV fever dreams, I had flashbacks to all of the warnings from friends and family about the procedure. Are you sure you want to do this? What if you never fully recover? I don't know about this operation. Isn't there a considerable chance they screw up and just have to amputate your arm? I fully support you and your decision, but I want to make sure you've thought it through. These criticisms at the time seriously made me reconsider my decision. Ultimately, I decided to stay the course, but the decision to go against the better advice of my friends felt wrong even at the time. The weird and odd feeling of regret that washed over me every time I reassured them and told them I was going through with it only amplified the more people I talked to. Whenever I talked to anyone who knew me, the surgery would sooner or later come up, and I would have to wait during conversation until that dreaded moment came. My friends were with me, surgery or no, but the storm upon which my boat had been sailing only seemed to intensify, as big wave after big wave nearly broke my ship in two. Still clutching onto that mast of hope as thoughts flowed freely in and out of my mind as I lay awake at midnight. It's going to be okay. 24 hours out from the procedure, my anxiety had completely paralyzed me. Even the most basic tasks, like brushing my teeth or going to the bathroom, felt like Herculean tasks that required tremendous effort. I turned off my phone at that point in order to calm my nerves, and had even sworn off television for the day. I just sat in my bed and read some of my favorite books, periodically taking breaks to stare out of the window. The surgery loomed like a dark cloud above my head, ready to rain over my head at any given moment and take full control of my consciousness. It dawned on me at that moment that this procedure, the one I had defended from friends and fought so hard to have, had largely come to define me as a person. At the very least, I had let it define me in many ways. Reflecting on my thoughts at the time, I am now able to see how completely enveloped I had been. Irony, though cruel. For it seemed that despite the fact that my elbow was about to be repaired, a part of me had been damaged in the process. Sure, I was to be fixed physically, but mentally, my anxiety and nervousness had never been higher. As I went to bed that night, the last thought I can remember is a gentle acceptance as the day of the surgery fast approached, and a comforting line: "It's going to be okay." On the morning of the surgery, my surgery, I was woken by my partner early in the morning. They gave me my water bottle, my clothes, and opened the door for me to get into the passenger seat of our car at a bright and sunny 4 a.m. By the time I got to the hospital, all events began to blend together. The reception, the being shown to the bed, and the surgeon's explanation of the preoperative all seemed like a free-flowing dream. The last memory I have right before going under anesthesia is of my partner holding my hand, whispering in a soft, reassuring tone, "It's going to be okay," as I would soon find out. It was not going to be okay. Based on the beginning of my story, you can guess how well my procedure went. 3 hours into the reconstruction of my elbow, a complication caused internal bleeding all throughout my arm. With no ability to stop it, they ended up having to amputate my arm from the elbow down. Upon waking, I felt phantom pain almost immediately and would continue to feel that way for days after. My surgeon came into the room shortly after I awoke and tried consoling me. There was nothing I could have done. These things just happen sometimes. I'm sorry. Did any of his words even matter? I had held his words dear for so long, and for them to ring hollow in my moment of utmost need was one of the most depressing situations I have ever been in. My partner, in between crying sessions, attempted to reassure me. I heard him begin to say, "Don't worry, no matter what, it's going to be in the pastor's care." This story contains descriptions of violence. Franklin, Wyatt, had a voice that made people lean in, a voice you'd trust to guide you through a storm. In the sleepy town of Crosshaven, sometime in the mid-1980s, Franklin was more than a pastor. He was a caretaker for the foster kids no one else could handle, and a fixture at every town potluck. People saw Franklin as a quiet man with an unshakable sense of purpose. No one would have guessed he was running from a past darker than any storm cloud. Years ago, Franklin had done the unthinkable. He'd taken the lives of his wife, Elise, and his teenage daughter, Margaret. They weren't cruel women, but they were fierce. Too fierce for Franklin's tightly wound idea of what a household should be. Elise never backed down from an argument, and Margaret's quick wit was as sharp as a knife. To Franklin, their defiance wasn't just a challenge. It was a sign of something broken that needed fixing. One thunderous night, in the heat of a feverish prayer, he believed he'd heard God's voice telling him how to save them. And so, he acted, not out of rage, but a misguided conviction that he was doing right by them. Afterward, Franklin vanished. Back then, it was easier to slip through the cracks. No internet to trace your steps, no databases to cross-check your lies. Franklin reinvented himself as a pastor in Crosshaven. His calm demeanor and willingness to take in troubled teens earned him a reputation as a saint. He never let on that his saintly acts were fueled by guilt so heavy it made his hands shake when he prayed alone at night. On a brisk October morning, Naomi arrived at Franklin's foster home. She was 17, with wild brown hair barely contained in a bun, and eyes that dared you to challenge her. The social worker's file described her as intelligent but confrontational. A girl who'd burned through too many foster homes, Franklin greeted Naomi with his usual warmth, extending a hand. "Welcome home, Naomi," he said. Naomi paused, her gaze sharp before muttering, "Thanks," and brushing past him into the house. Naomi wasn't one to fade into the background. She questioned Franklin's rules, skipped prayer meetings, and made no effort to hide her disdain for his sermons. The other teens adored her. Her wit was magnetic, and her boldness gave them something to admire. But to Franklin, she was a storm waiting to happen. Her defiance brought back memories of Elise and Margaret. He saw the same fire in Naomi, and it kept him awake at night. One evening, Naomi came home late. Franklin was waiting in the kitchen, his Bible open on the table, and a single lamp casting long, flickering shadows. "We have rules here, Naomi," he said, his voice calm but heavy. Naomi dropped her backpack onto a chair and crossed her arms. "What are you gonna do? Kick me out?" "Go ahead. It's not like I haven't heard it before." Franklin closed his Bible and stood, gripping the back of the chair in front of him. "I'm not here to punish you. I'm here to help you." Naomi rolled her eyes so hard, it was a wonder they didn't stick. "Save the speech, Pastor. You're not my dad, and you're definitely not my savior." With that, she turned and headed upstairs, leaving Franklin staring after her. That night, Franklin retreated to the basement, where he kept his tools and spent hours in prayer. The space smelled of sawdust and damp earth. As he knelt on the cold floor, his thoughts swirled. Naomi wasn't just another rebellious teen. She was a test, a reflection of everything he'd failed to fix before. If he couldn't save her, what did that say about him? About the choices he'd made? The next day, Franklin asked Naomi to join him in the basement after dinner. His house was quiet, save for the faint ticking of the old grandfather clock in the hallway. "I'd like to pray with you," he said, his tone steady but insistent. Naomi raised an eyebrow, her arms crossed. "What's this about?" "Finding peace," Franklin replied. He watched as she hesitated, then shrugged and followed him downstairs. The basement was lit by a single bulb that cast harsh light over the cluttered space. Franklin gestured toward a wooden bench. Naomi sat, but kept her arms folded, her eyes scanning the room. "All right," Naomi said, her voice tinged with sarcasm. "Let's hear it." Franklin stood before her, gripping his Bible. "This isn't just about prayer," Franklin began, his voice trembling. "It's about saving your soul." Naomi narrowed her eyes. "Yeah, no, I'm out." She stood to leave, but Franklin blocked her path. "Sit down," he said, his voice low and urgent. "What the hell is wrong with you?" Naomi snapped, her voice rising. She tried to push past him, but Franklin grabbed her shoulders. At that moment, he saw Elise and Margaret, their faces blurred together with Naomi's. The anger, the defiance, the hurt. It was too much. Everything that happened next was a blur. When it was over, Naomi lay still on the cold basement floor. Franklin's hands were shaking, his breath coming in short, ragged gasps. He knelt beside her, tears streaming down his face. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I'm so sorry." The next day, Franklin buried Naomi in the woods, spinning a tale about her running away. The other teens believed him. Why wouldn't they? He was their rock, their guide. Residents of Crosshaven rallied around him, offering condolences and praising his patience. It was almost enough to make him believe his own lies. That evening, Franklin sat alone in the darkened living room, the weight of his sins pressing down on him. For a moment, he thought about turning himself in. But before Franklin could act, the phone rang. "Pastor Wyatt?" the voice on the other end said. "We've got a new placement for you. A teenage girl, 15. She's had a rough go of it, but we think she'd do well in your home." Franklin closed his eyes and let out a slow breath. "Of course," he replied. "Send her over." When the girl arrived a few days later, Franklin met her at the door. She was small for her age, with wary eyes and a scowl that could cut glass. "Welcome home," he said, his voice warm and steady. She didn't respond, just brushed past him into the house as the door clicked shut. Franklin stood in the quiet hallway, his thoughts racing. Maybe this time will be different, he told himself. Maybe this time I'll get it right. The house settled into silence, but Franklin's heart was anything but still. Second fair chance. Second fair chance. Lord Farnsworth, thank you so much for inviting me to dinner. I want to apologize for anything I did to create tension between us and let you know how grateful I am to have this second chance to make a better impression. Well, Sir Fenwick, be assured if I didn't cherish my daughter, Charity, so much you would never get another opportunity to make appeasement. She begged me to reconsider my dismissal of your attentions toward her. She is very taken with you, so you must not be all that horrible. Maybe a little misguided when it comes to how you treat a lady of high standing, such as my beautiful daughter. I found you in a compromising position in the garden at that soiree. Still, she'll be joining us after our before-dinner sherry. I remember you made quite a showing at our fox hunt outing. You set a fine steed and contributed an experienced pair of foxhound to the pack. That proves you've had some culture to your upbringing. Yes, sir. I've been riding since I was a young boy. My friend and business partner, Sir Carlton Winslow, attorney at law, is the one with hound experience. His uncle used to train them. The pair were actually borrowed from a well-known sportsman, Lord Dudley Bragg. Ah, yes, Lord Bragg. The name suits him well. He was interested in courting Countess Diana, my sister-in-law, but she found him to be less than gentlemanly when he deserted her and Charity at the market fair. Matter of fact, that is how they made your acquaintance. Isn't that correct? You arranged for their escort home. Now she has been entertaining your friend, finds him quite attractive and courteous. Exactly, Lord Farnsworth. That's another reason it would be so advantageous for me to be able to court your daughter. We could assure each other to remain honorable. Wouldn't you agree? Or encourage each other's bad behavior? Hey, young man, I haven't forgotten what it was like to be your age, seeking female companionship. I must guard my daughter's reputation, you understand? Of course, your lordship. Wouldn't expect anything less. I assure you, my intentions are honorable. I am deeply in love with her already and desire only the best for her. I would ask for her hand in marriage immediately if it found favor in your eyes. But I know our societal norms demand much more formal routines. I can only pray for your approval to make me the happiest lovesick fool in London. My joy would be eternal. I can tell how eager you are, and from her behavior, I suspect she feels the very same about you. I'll give it due consideration. So, I understand you are a solicitor making your way up in the professional standings. Do you suppose you will be able to support my daughter in the manner to which she is accustomed? I am afraid I have spoiled her, especially since her mother passed. Well, to be forthright, it will take some time to match the heights of your accomplishments. I can only hope she is agreeable to living more meagerly until I am more established. We would be rich in love, though. Unfortunately, love does not pay the bills or trade for niceties. And, ahem, it often leads to more mouths to feed. That would only increase our happiness, sir. I am more than ready to embrace whatever our future together could hold. I would be utterly devastated to walk away from a relationship with her at this point. She is my everything. I hope you understand. I'm beginning to see things your way. If I allow this to continue, we must be proper about it. Wouldn't want you scurrying off to Gretna Green to elope over the anvil, now would we? And Lord forbid, you sneak off to Jersey. That's about as dangerous as it gets. My daughter deserves only the best. Here she comes. Now, come, dear. Thank you for joining us. You look so lovely this evening. That sea foam coloring of your flowing gown brings out the azure of your eyes. You'll have this young man drooling all through dinner. We are ready to go into the dining hall. This way, Sir Fenwick. Yes, you look very becoming as usual, Lady Charity. May I take your arm? And please, call me Riley, sir. Of course. No need to be so formal, with only us present. I'll sit at the head of the table with each of you at my sides. Looks like the soup is already served. Let us begin with grace. Father, all this small talk has been charming, and I hope it has let you get to know Sir Riley better and understand what an upright gentleman he truly is. But could we get to the proverbial elephant in the room, since we are all alone and all adults? Sir Riley, dear? Yes, sir. I have an all-important question to ask of you concerning your vivacious daughter. I would very much like to make her my wife, if she will have me. But I need your blessing. Well, you don't beat about the bush now, do you? I was enjoying our lively discussions and imagining what kind of a son-in-law an aspiring lawyer would make. You seem knowledgeable and versed in a wide range of topics. You would never be a boring dinner guest. I can see by the way you look at and respond to my little girl, you are sincere in your feelings toward her. She mirrors those feelings back to you, sort of feeling like a third wheel between you two. Ha, ha. If I didn't give you my blessing, you two would probably defy me and find a way to be together any way you could, sneaking around behind my back or right under my nose. Am I right? So yes, let's make it official. What do you say? I say I need to get down on my knee and do this properly. My fair lady, Charity, would you do me the honor of becoming my wife? Yes? Oh yes. Thought you would never ask. A lively souvenir. A lively souvenir. We were on very good terms with our neighbors of about 4 years in our San Diego, California neighborhood. We invite each other over for barbecues, and Joe and I frequently sit in front of a TV somewhere on Sundays to watch a football game or two. Our wives, Annette and Ellie, are in a book club together, work out at LA Fitness, and enjoy poetry reading events. Last summer, we upgraded our backyard and had a pool put in. Nothing massive, just your standard 16 at 32 family pool. It was quite the hangout for both our families. Joe and Elle recently returned from visiting family in Gainesville, Florida. We all convened at their back patio for the celebratory end of their vacation to sip mimosas and Hefeweizens while they gave us all the highlights of their trip. They were excited about the resort they visited and the swampland tours they took there. They were like big kids describing how the airboat driver whipped them through the swamp, even giving them an extra thrill by Tokyo drifting on the sharp turns. Sounds like a lot of fun, Annette replied. Well, that's not the best part. We've found a bit of a souvenir. Really? Oh yeah, Joe said proudly. I'll get it, Ellie said as she disappeared into the house. I know initially you guys are going to think we're nuts, but I assure you, this is going to be great. Wow, Joe, Donald said. This is quite the build-up. The anticipation is killing us over here. Right then, Ellie emerged with a mid-sized glass tank. "Wha?" Donald exclaimed. He can't believe what he's seeing. "No way! You guys can't be serious," said Annette. "That's crazy, guys." In the glass case, there was a 2.5-foot alligator. "Isn't he beautiful?" Ellie beamed. "He's already grown a couple of inches since we've been back." "Whoa, I was actually thinking you brought back a snake, or maybe an iguana. But you went all the way back to the evolutionary source. A fucking alligator," Don said. "No way this is safe." "Elle, no way," Annette cautioned. She was concerned, and her voice shook with emotion as she tried to implore her friend to abandon this idea. "This thing is gonna grow and eat you guys. No, this is a terrible idea, sweetie." No, it's okay. We thought this through," John explained, and made an informed decision. "This wasn't an impulse buy." "I don't know, buddy. It looks like an impulse buy with teeth." Don chided them. They all laughed, except Annette. "How did you even come across somebody selling an alligator, Joe? I mean, I know it's Florida, but people aren't just selling these at the 7-Eleven. She asked. Joe explained how part of the habitat tour involved observing the local wildlife, including gators. They also breed them there. This alligator was part of a litter that was to be raised within the wildlife preserve, but unfortunately, it was a runt. He was too small to compete with his siblings for food, and eventually they would turn on him and consume him as well. The staff were going to have to put him down. This completely exacerbated Ellie, and after some conversation, a disclaimer, and cash, she somehow convinced the preserve owner to allow them to take the little guy with them. "And you were okay with this, Joe?" Don asked incredulously. Joe shrugged his shoulders. "I didn't see any issues with it being so small right now. I guess I kinda kicked the can down the road as far dealing with him getting to be full-sized. As it was explained to us, they are very loyal and highly intelligent. Once domesticated, they are just like dogs or goats." Wait, Annette asked. "How did you get it on the plane?" "Well, the preserve owner wrapped it for travel and fed it, and we just added wet towels over it and placed it in our checked bags." "You ran it through baggage claim?" "Have you seen how they treat those suitcases?" Don asked, almost laughing in disbelief. "Oh, yes, and I was so worried about the little guy. I could hardly contain my anxiety the whole flight. I hoped he wasn't too scared. I told her, 'Hey, honey, it's a reptile. They're not scared of anything.' My wife and I stood there, perplexed. This has got to be the dumbest idea in the history of dumb ideas. Yet here they sat, two highly educated adults, carrying on about one of the most dangerous animals on the planet, like it's a long-haired lab puppy. I have to ask some grown-up questions. I steal a glance at my wife with a raised eyebrow, and she shrugs, effectively giving me the go-ahead. Joe? Firstly, how in the world do you domesticate an alligator? Is there like a shock collar? Here, when I zap you, it means don't bite my finger off? I mean, come on. Ah, ha, ha. I hear the sarcasm, Dawn. No, no. As you feed him, he gets used to your scent and your presence. He begins to associate you with food and satisfaction. It's all positive reinforcement. He bonds with you. Yeah, just like a dog, like we said. He won't bite the hand that feeds him, silly. Ellie chimed in. He eats chicken, mostly. But we can throw in some fish, rodents, steak, and even pork, to give him a variety. They guy gave us a pamphlet for use as a reference, so you read Alligators for Dummies. And you think that prepared you? Annette asked. I can't believe I'm hearing this. Did you say rodents? You feed it rodents? Are you going to buy a shoebox full of mice and dump it in his glass case? Oh, don't be so crude, Dawn. Of course not, Joe said nervously, as he rubbed the back of his neck. Well, not exactly a box full. You really are going to go through with this? How long before he grows up to be a fully carnivorous reptile? There's some exotic animal farms around. We can relocate him too, when the time comes. For a fee, they'll come and collect him, humanely, of course, and he'll live out his days at the California Preserve. Dude, is this even legal in California? Can animal control fine you or come confiscate it? Well, it's an ask for forgiveness instead of permission kind of thing. We aren't breeding it or selling it for a profit, so therefore it's characterized as an exotic pet, in my opinion. It's no more illegal that Tyson having a tiger or Michael Jackson having a chimpanzee. But this is an alligator, Joe. Annette pleaded outwardly with her friends. This is a cold-blooded beast. Every incident I have ever seen involves an alligator snapping, its jaws shut on some unsuspecting body part of the owner or trainer. We are trying to get you to see that this will end badly. You and Ellie are putting yourselves in danger. Annette's hands were on her hips, as she's clearly frustrated. We can't seem to talk any sense into our friends. Look, guys, I hear you, but we'll be fine. Come here. Joe stood and put his arms out, and he, Dawn, and Annette had a group hug. Aw, there. That's so much better, Ellie said. I know. We appreciate your concern. You're good friends, and you have raised some thoughtful questions, and I would expect no less. But friends, don't worry. This is gonna be a great experience. Alex and us will grow to be... Wait, Dawn interrupted. Alex? Alex Alligator? Really, Joe? It absolutely fit like a glove. And when I called him that, his little eyelids flipped. I think he likes it, Ellie added. She reached in and stroked the back of its head. You want to hold it? Here, it's okay. Let me just get him situated. She set the glass case on the table and reached in and grabbed its tail with her right hand and slid her left hand forward to grasp it under its jaw. But something must have spooked it. It let out a high-pitched snarl and spun its head, and with its tiny but razor-sharp teeth, clamped down on Ellie's forefinger and thumb. Blood immediately spurted outward as Ellie screamed and knocked the glass case off the table, which exploded when it hit the patio. Alex didn't fall. However, he hung on to Ellie's flesh, dangling and thrashing with all its body weight. As if trying to rend her flesh from her, blood started squirting out of its jaws as it whipped its body from side to side. Ellie grabbed at it and tried to pull it off, but it was dug in, and she screamed even louder. Joe grabbed its body and pulled, but it was clamped down deep, and pulling it made the flesh of Ellie's thumb started to rip from her hand, making her cry out more. Ellie collapsed onto the patio, screaming incoherently, as the gator's face was now bright red with the free-flowing blood from Ellie's mangled hand. Annette grabbed a big hunk of glass and began hitting it on its head. 1 blow, 2 blows, 3 blows. Finally, the gator released its grip, rolled over onto the patio, and scurried away. "Oh, Ellie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," Joe said as he pulled off his shirt and attempted to stem the flow of blood from Ellie's marred flesh. Her thumb was only hanging on by 2 tendons, and half the flesh from her index finger was tattered and torn. He wrapped it up with his shirt. "Dawn, put pressure here, please," Joe said, almost in tears. Annette had both hands covering her mouth and was wide-eyed with disbelief as Ellie moaned and cradled her hand. She was growing visibly pale and going into shock, no doubt. Joe called 911 while Annette comforted Ellie. Dawn quietly wondered if they'd be able to save her thumb or not. How could this thing have turned so deadly so fast? Shit, he thought. Speaking of deadly, where is that little fucker? Joe, did you see where it went? No, I didn't. The little bastard's probably terrified, hiding in some cubby hole somewhere. The dispatcher is sending animal control, but maybe we can bag it before it gets away. Damn, I fucked up, Dawn. I'm such a fuck-up, he said in a frustrated tone. What was I thinking? Hey, let's focus. No time for that now, buddy. I'll run to my house and get a spotlight real quick. So Dawn went out their back fence and crossed over onto his property. He unlatched the back fence and headed for his tool shed on the other side of the pool, when lo and behold, there was Alex. He was casually floating in their pool. There was a red stain afloat around him, apparently Ellie's blood. But Alex was totally oblivious to the carnage he caused. He's merely enjoying the cool water. Dawn doesn't know why, but he thought about the story of the scorpion and the frog. What did they expect? He's an alligator. As Dawn approached the pool, Alex seemed to sense his presence and slowly paddled towards the edge of the pool towards Dawn. Wait, what's this? What are you doing, little guy? It turned, its body exposing its tail, and made a cooing sound. Please don't let this be the second dumbest thing that happens today. Dawn squatted down and gently reached under the gator and scooped it up, holding it under its head and tail. He made sure to keep a firm grip on Alex and not expose any appendages that may trigger it. You need to be with your own kind, runt or not. He actually kinda liked the little guy. But yeah, it's time to go. You've caused enough trouble today. He heard the sirens approaching and headed back to Joe's house. Mine Cole didn't know if he was asleep or awake until he heard someone cough. Then began the incessant striking of hammer on stone. Earl, the foreman, had set up shifts for everyone. He'd said, "Keep pounding. Let them know we're still here. Alive." There was no light. None. Not a glimmer. Everything felt dreamlike. Only Cole's dreams felt real. They played out in daylight. How long since the cave-in? Time had lost meaning. It felt like forever, or an hour ago. He'd startle awake and wonder where he was. Then remember, how long had he slept? A few minutes? Days? His watch was accurate. Give or take 12 hours. Memories blended with reality. Hunger marked times passing, rolling against gritty stone. He sat up. Hearing others move reminded him there were others. And so far, they had survived. At least the dust had settled. After the collapse, choking dust hung in the air forever. They thought their lungs would never clear. For a long time, whenever someone switched on their lantern, everything looked smoky. Eventually, their coughing stopped. Had it been types? Earl knew, but didn't want them focusing on that. He'd spent his life in the mines. If anyone asked, Earl would tell them he cut his teeth on a chunk of coal. After the cave-in, he told himself, this is the end. I get out alive. I'm gone. After the initial shock, they could only wait and hope a rescue party would find them before. When the tunnel collapsed, so much happened at once. The screams, the groans, the terror, the chaos. They would all have died had Earl not kept them focused. After a few rushed to escape and got caught in the collapse, his shouted orders stopped the panic. They heard their screams, but could do nothing. There wasn't time. Their equipment was inadequate. Couldn't save themselves. The silence that followed gave them chills. The survivors pulled Jed from the rubble. He couldn't walk. They cleared a level spot for him. Using his medical training, Earl directed the others. He stopped Jed's bleeding, but setting broken bones with improvised splints was painful and difficult. They gave him precious water, Earl said. Hope he gets professional help before they set. He knew they would need to re-break them once he got to a hospital. Reality settled. Rescue could take days, might never get out. The prospect of starvation loomed. Earl counted heads. Besides himself, 4 others survived. Sonny, Jed, Cole, and Roman. All but Sonny had grown up together. Their fathers all came from the mines. The collapse came in the morning, so they had food and water. "Stow your kits and gear," he said. "Once you're secured, douse your lanterns. Save the batteries. The guys were hungry." Earl said, "Husband your resources, guys. Don't gobble it all at once. Make it last. Maybe down here a while." Earl organized shifts for them. They were to strike stone with a hammer in the Morse code SOS distress signal. Earl handed Cole a pick and pointed to the wall. "You start. Someone'll spell you in an hour. Signal 'em that we're alive and waiting." Cole found comfort at the wall. Activity filled the time. He felt useful. It amazed him how things become routine, even in the most primitive circumstances. While each took their turn at the wall, the others sat together in the dark, sharing stories. Sometimes they even laughed in the face of their plight. After a while, Roman began to weep. Hearing his sobs in the dark unsettled the others. A giant of a man. Everyone saw him as stoic, a man of action. He would take on any task. No one expected blubbering about his wife and kids. Now, he despaired. In the darkness, his mask of strength invisible, he revealed himself. Their situation was undeniable. At the wall with the SOS, Cole tried to drown out Roman's sobs. Roman couldn't stifle his tears. His sobs became wails. Earl said, "I know it looks bad, man, but you'll be home in a day or two." With a constricted voice, Roman tried to explain. "She counts on me. What'll May do if I'm not there for her? She worries. Says, 'Be sure to come home.' What can I do without you? Says the kids cry when I'm late." There was nothing to say. Roman's sobs subsided into labored breathing. It was impossible, but the darkness seemed even blacker. Lacking sight, their sense of hearing sharpened. Each man recognized the personal signature of anyone's slight movement. The darkness did not obscure anyone's location. Hours passed. They drifted in and out of consciousness until their turn to hammer. The SOS came. "Anyone have any extra? I'm starving." It was Cole. No one responded. Earl said, "Told you not to wolf, man. Come on, guys. Someone must have something. You know I'd share with you." Cole turned on his lamp. He stood over Sonny. "I knew it!" A stream of profanity flooded out. Others leaped to restrain him. Sonny said, "It's mine, man. I didn't take yours. You're hoarding, man. That food belongs to everyone." Earl stepped up, and Cole calmed. "What's up, Sonny? Whose kits are those?" Sonny said, "No one's hammering." "Whose shift is it?" "They're gonna think we're dead." "Answer the question." "I found 'em, Earl. Didn't steal 'em. Left behind by the others?" "Yeah, Sam and Gordy. The others who booked. They won't be back. I took them for safekeeping." Everyone looked at him in silence. Finally, he handed a kit to Cole. Earl said, "Roman, do an inventory on everyone's victuals. Make sure there's an even distribution." That seemed to satisfy everyone. Earl said, "Who's on SOS? Gotta keep the signal up." Don't want them giving up the search, Roman said. I'm up. You keep doing inventory. Sonny, get to it. Things settled after that. Everyone took their turn on SOS. There was less conversation. Everyone kept to themselves. They never knew if their signals were heard. The overhead rumblings of excavation paused. When it resumed, it seemed more distant. Cole asked Earl, "They know where we are. What's taking so long? They quitting?" The cave-in exposed unstable strata. Aggressive digging could loosen it, bring it all down. Don't want to lose us to their haste. That's why they don't blast? Right. They could only keep signaling. And hope. Hours passed. Their existence settled into a narrow routine. Those not hammering the wall slept or booled fitfully, kept awake by Jed's groans. Everyone knew he was still alive. No one knew when Jed would scream. Ghosts tormented him. Earl tried to calm him, but there was nothing to give him. Everyone put up with it. Had days passed? Cole awoke from unsettled sleep. He tipped his canteen up and found it empty. He said, "When we're back up top, if I ever suggest going camping, somebody please kill me." Others laughed. Sonny said, "We're already dead. Just don't know it yet." Earl said, "Shut up. Don't start that." Sonny said, "It's true. We'll never get out. All that's left is arranging ourselves for the grave we're already resting in." Roman said, "They're searching. Need to be patient." Sonny said, "Give it up. You know I'm right." Earl said, "You're not helping. Whining does nothing. I'll whine if I want. You gonna kill me? I'm already dead," Cole said. "When they pull me out of here, I'll tell them to leave you behind, that you gave up, cried until you died." They heard a clatter of rocks. A punch glanced off Cole's face. If Sonny had seen his target, it would have hurt more. Screaming with rage, Cole threw himself at his attacker. They fell into the rubble. Earl yelled, "Stop!" They threw punches and grappled. Their thrashing sounded like animals. Earl switched on his lantern. He stood over the two. Sonny had bloodied Cole's face. Earl kicked Sonny's head, sending him to the cave floor. Sonny yelled, "I'll kill you!" "Listen!" Roman stopped hammering. Earl doused his light. The sound of pneumatic drills was close. Brakes led to increased activity. Everyone stepped back from the rubble, blocking the tunnel opening. Dust stirred, making them cough. Stones shifted and rolled to their feet. Cole and Roman dodged a boulder coming to rest between them. They laughed nervously. After several minutes of tense silence, light pierced the darkness. The five cheered as one. Even Jed joined in. Shouting and jumping, they couldn't stop. A large stone broke free and rolled from the tunnel entrance, bathing the cavern in light. They'd been saved. "There's not a ghost in my house." "Sally, Sally, are you running from me, Sally?" "I'm not running, Jessica. You tried to leave before I could catch you." "I'm busy, Jessica. I work." "Meaning I don't work? Let's say you don't do 9 to 5. Oh, I work, Sally. I work plenty. I work around the clock working. If you call what you do work. So that's another rumor you've been spreading about me? I'm a bum now? I don't spread rumors, Jessica. My name is Jesse, and you know it, since you throw it around a lot. You're paranoid. Oh, really? I'm paranoid? That's why the whole congregation just snickered at me? I have no idea what you're talking about. And the preacher just called me imaginative. No idea why. No idea, huh? You haven't shared my new insurance claims around lately. I don't have time for your nonsense. Nonsense? You're calling the House of Horrors you sold me nonsense? We don't entertain ghost stories, Jessica. No, you just entertained stealing my money and handing me a haunted house. Honestly, Jessica, you have a wild imagination. It's just an old house. Can you try to tone it down? Oh, I'm the liar now? You didn't disclose anything. You sold me a paranormal vortex. Jessica, I sold you a house. I didn't sell you a haunted house. Older homes are a little noisy. A little noise? The lights flicker on and off like a damn hallway disco. Battering rams shake the walls. Something cold keeps stalking me from the laundry room to the upstairs. And then there's the whispers in the landing mirror. And I'm supposed to sleep with the corner shadows slithering past. Jessica, church parking lots are not the time or place for your ghost stories. Your wiring is older, however. The house is perfectly fine and passed our inspection. Your insurance policy will not be covering your broken dish claims or any other fabrications. You mean my floating dishes claims before they rain and smash, plus the floating beds claims, and the floating curtains, and the floating ME? I don't know what you're trying to prove, but it's not working. You're making a scene here for nothing. Please, seek help. Oh yeah, it's all in my head, Sally. Is that the game we're playing? The entire town knew about it. This is a county, not a town, Jessica. Fine, Sally. It's a hamlet, village, royal ripoff capital, in the middle of dumb duck nowhere. 'Cause menial technicalities matter more than the fact that you sold me a freaking haunted house. Even the locksmith threw the keys and ran. It seems you enjoy stirring up drama, Jessica. We will resume this conversation when you are calm. I've got a damn good reason to be dramatic. Drama is trying to live in that place without getting dragged into the walls myself. I wake up to doors slamming. I try to go to bed and the roof howls. Look at me, Sally. Not at this crowd. I don't know what you expect from me. It's not my problem. It's yours. No, you sold me a nightmare, and now I'm making it your problem. The whole damn place is cursed, and now I've got a town full of people looking at me like I'm some damn lunatic. I want my money back. I'm not giving you any money, Jessica. You signed the papers. You knew what you were getting. Yeah, I signed the papers, but you didn't tell me the house bled. I'm swimming in a demon ditch, and you knew it, didn't you? That's enough. I didn't do anything wrong. You're the one who... You act like you don't do anything wrong. Instead, you've been telling people I'm crazy. You've made everyone think I've lost my mind. But I'm gonna make sure everyone knows the truth. I don't know what you want me to do, Jessica. The house is yours. If it's that big a deal, you can move. I have to go. We're all aware you have your jolly holiday to pack for. But you're going to handle this first. My holidays are well earned, Jessica. Unlike some... You're saying that I haven't earned a holiday? I'm saying you need to take a step back. I would love to step back, Sally. I would love to just go home and enjoy a nice Sunday brunch without my forks levitating above my head. It's not in my head, Sally. It's above my head. And I have loads of video proof online. It all went viral. None of that has been proven to be real. Proven? You want me to prove it? How about you come over for a meal? You can even spend the night. The guest room has floating lamps and screaming furniture that likes to rearrange itself. I'm sorry you feel this way, Jessica, but your home purchase and insurance policy can't help you with your haunting. My haunting. When are we going to acknowledge the literal hell you've put me through? The place is cursed, and you sold it to me with a smile on your face. And now I'm stuck in this ghost infestation, and you ruined my rep to boot. No one is answering my ads. Maybe no one needs your services here, Jessica. Will that be before or after the rumors you spewed? 'Cause they think I'm all crazy, right? 'Cause you didn't do anything wrong, right? I did not. I went out of my way to help you in an emergency. You were an opportunist. We all helped you, Jessica. Helped me how? Don't smirk at me. You ripped me off. I want my money back so I can move to a normal home with visitors that don't drop through ceilings. If you want people to visit you, Jessica, perhaps you should share more in community spirit rather than silly stories. I've had plenty of guests, Sally. Like rocks through my window, kids screaming, and slow cars passing. Not to mention the 24/7 live-in spook party you sold. And what about all the tents on your front lawn? The Ghost Hunters Unanimous team? They're here for the one-night challenge. Do you have a permit for those theatrics? Excuse me? You didn't inform us that you were converting the property to a theater. We may have to cancel your insurance. You bloody snake! Unlike your stories, Jessica, your contract states you must inform us first if you run a business from the premises. And unlike your business slogans, I will be certain to share my bad experience with your real estate and insurance firm to my new 57K ghost followers. And I will sue you for defamation. And I'll sue you back. What defamation, Jessica? You shared my personal claims to half of the town, congregation, and our preacher. I believe we all count as witnesses to your ruining of my reputation. Yeah, let's go to court. No, don't. Jesse, we can review your claim on the 17th when I return. No, Sally. We can review all my claims before you leave for your palm trees on Tuesday. I'm sure it can wait. It's waited long enough. And, Sally, we may have additional info to review. And what might that be? Jesse? I am considering turning my ghost house into a business. We need to ensure the... Ouch! Do you always slam your Buick doors like that? Soap, do not touch me. Calm down. Let me take that from you. It would probably be best for us all if you ease up on the wine. Piss off. It does not matter anymore if anyone sees, right? You ought to be grateful too, Darren. Cheers. Keep your voice down. Please, stay seated. Stop. That two-faced best... Oh, sorry, you surprised me, little one. Sissy, are you leaving already? Well... Come now. Do not fret. I shall be back soon. Oh, all right then. What is that you have there in your hand? A bar of soap. Do you work here? No? I don't think so. What is that supposed to mean? Tell me your name then. I don't remember. Very soon. Oh God. I believe my name is lost to me as well. Bad. This is nonsense. Does anything come to mind? Nothing. Well? Nothing. Are you sure? I guess. Just a feeling of pain in my ribs. A blackout type of pain. And then I found myself here, standing in front of this store. That is not very promising. Have you tried using the telephone at the till? Yes. The dial tone goes on forever, and all these random items in the aisles? Nothing good? I looked. But this bar of soap is all you managed to find? Tess, I apologize. I might be starting to lose it a bit. Quite a bit, to be fair. It's fine. Let's just... I think we should try to piece together what we know, what we can try to find out. Okay? If you say so. All right. What do you remember about how you got here? I only remember feeling weightless. I could not feel my legs. I could not breathe and... Well, it was awful. And you also found yourself outside the store's entrance afterwards? Indeed. That's interesting. I'll tell you what happened before you got here. But you're going to have to keep an open mind to believe me. That's fine. It's about the soap. If you do not drop that wretched soap, let me finish. And so, before you got here, I was going through all the aisles, right? When I walked through this one, something, I can't place what it was, drew me to touch the bar. When I did, everything around me kind of morphed into another place. Oh, please, do not make light of this. No, it really happened. It was like entering a memory, and I was someone else at some sort of dinner party. When I came back from it, you walked inside. It cannot be. Why are we here? I do not understand. Anne? I think we're dead. And this store holds dead people's things. And get up. Get up. Now. Do not roll your eyes at me, you little... You just get dressed now. I laid your clothes on the dresser. Stop wasting time. We are to leave in 15. Mother, I cannot wear this. The lacing almost suffocated me just the other week. Skip dinner. I do not care. Your wardrobe consists of absolutely nothing but whoring attire. When did you buy all this rubbish? I forbid you to place it back. Come back here. You are not leaving with those ridiculous clothes on. They are practically undergarments. Just leave me be. Are you trying to embarrass me? Your father? What will the English families think of us? They already mock us. Em, open this door at once, or I shall reveal your habit of drink to the entire club. Do not presume I am not willing to see you completely ruined. And go ahead, have at it then. Oh, is that so? Shall I also call Lolly here? Let us see what she has picked up from you, what she needs to rid herself of. No, just stop. I am coming out. Good. Now, strip, and hand those over. It seems I need to inform Maid Sadia that your room is to be properly cleaned out. Worry not, Mother. You will not see it again. That is for sure. It's you. What? I'm seeing your life. How do you know I saw you in a mirror? And this whole time that life has been mine then, I had a small suspicion that it would be one of us. But each memory trip was so quick and scattered in time, I could never piece them together. Also, there's something else I found out. I've told you before that I can't hear anything in the memories. I believe so. Only thoughts with an indistinct inner voice? Yeah, but with the thoughts, I can technically hear other people in the memories. Maybe because of how our minds process words. Yes, and the woman who you called Mother. She said your name, my mother. So, what am I called then? Hera? It fits you. Why is that? I don't know. I just like that name, I guess. Oh? And do you like anything else about me? A lot of things. Good answer. Shall we try that aisle over there today? Maybe we will finally find an item for me to explore. Okay. But you're not curious about why I'm seeing your life in particular. I am. Though something tells me I do not want to know why. Why? She is bleeding too much. You have already started. Might as well finish up. No need to do this. Hold her. Oh gods. No, stay back. Idiot. Keep her quiet. No one can know about this. When you are done, place this in her hand. Why? Symbolism, boy. There is to be a mad killer on the loose, cleansing sin in the ton. I cannot believe you touched it again. I didn't, I swear. It sounds stupid, but the soap literally flew into my hand when I wasn't looking. Trot, Hera, please say something. Did you see everything this time? How it ends? Yes? Do you want to know? No. But I know I ought to. Figure it is time to learn why that damned bar of soap is essential to my past life. I think you should too. What if this is it? I would not want to leave you. If you do, well, I'm just thankful for meeting you, even if it is after death. I only wish we knew your name as well. I don't need to know my own name. I know yours, and it's enough, like a thief in the night. I'm here. The key is under the welcome mat. The alarm is off, and Reuben is at the kennel. Should be no issue getting inside. Neighbors out of town. What time does John arrive home? He's working late, then going to the gym. You have time. For your sake, you best be right. I'm not looking to go back in the pen for some petty crime bullshit. Just get the file off the computer. Easy, easy. Then why haven't you done it yourself? You know why? Yeah, we know. Are you in yet? Yes. The office is down the hall and to the left. Don't turn on the lights. I'm not a fucking amateur. Shit. What is it? What happened? Nothing. Just some asshole left boots lying in the middle of the hallway. John isn't the best housekeeper. Really, you don't. He keeps his other laptop in the third drawer. Got a problem. What? It's locked. Got a key? No, but he's not that creative. Look around the desk. It's gotta be around somewhere. Gum wrappers, crumpled Post-its, pile of receipts. This guy is a hoarder. I know, but he's the only way in. Yeah, so you've said. Listen, the boss doesn't take kindly to liars. No lies. This is legit. Your funeral. You're a funny guy. You know that? Now shut up and find the key. I said you had time, but let's not chance it. Seems to me I'm taking all the chances. Once you find what we need, I'll give credit where credit is due. Think I found something. Is it the key? Does it work? Got it. But we have another problem. What problem? Just open the laptop and find the file listed as hobby. There is no laptop. Drawer is empty. Shit. He must have it. Why on earth would he take that shit to work with him? Think he's onto you? Nah. I'm the least of his worries. Better think of another way. Boss isn't a patient guy. I know. Just give me a minute to think. Shit. This was the best way. We don't have a minute. We got company. No. Can't be John. He's still at work. Sure about that? Positive? His tracker says he's sitting at his shitty cubicle as we speak. We're good. False alarm. Just some idiot lost and used the driveway to turn around. Fuck, man. You had me worried. Look, here's what you're going to do. First, need you to lock the door, then break a window. I'll arm the alarm. He'll get the call and come home. Wait him out. When you seize the opportunity, get the laptop. I could just kill him. No, you can't just kill him. What are you talking about? Just stick to the plan. Hide, get the laptop, find the file, and get out. Never good at hiding. But I'll see what I can do. The door is locked. Ready for the broken window. Say when. When? Hell. What happened? Cut my fucking hand. You wearing gloves? Can't just be leaving blood all over the place. That's how people get caught, asshole. I'm not an amateur. Of course, I have gloves on. Been doing this longer than you've been alive, you snot-nosed yuppie. Just keep your trap shut. Shit, the alarm didn't go off. What a damn surprise. Another problem. Just a sec. I need to shut off the power and reset it. Stop fucking telling me and just do it. All right, get ready to cover your ears. 3, 2, 1. Aw, fuck, that's loud. Hide, hide, hide. Turn that shit off. I can't. John needs to be notified. Hurry up! I'm going fucking deaf here. Hold on. You hold on, you asshole. Alarm is blaring through my fucking eardrums. When I get a hold of you, no one will recognize you. I'm going to take my fucking time. My knife will dull and need sharpening between breaks. All right, John is on the move. Shut it off. The company will in 3, 2, 1. I'm going to kill you. Don't forget to hide. I'm in the closet already. Ran in here after the alarm went off. John is en route. Fantastic. So, boss is calling. Going to join him on the call. Boys, we have the file yet? Not yet, boss. What's the holdup? This entire operation is a total fuck-up. This yuppie has us chasing our tails. He's a fucking liar. I'm not lying. The file exists. How was I to know he would bring the laptop with him? He's been your mark for months. Gentlemen, gentlemen, enough. I want that file. Yuppie and my guy is the best. No one better to lift sensitive material than him. Guide him best you can and let him do his job. Yes, sir. Yes, boss. Good. Talk to you boys soon. You are such an asshole, yuppie. Me? You're the one trying to get me killed? Oh, I'm not trying. I'm going to kill you. You'll forget all about maiming me when you get that file. Not maim, kill. As in murder. Yeah? Well, that will have to wait, because John has arrived. I'll just kill him. No, just be patient. He's in the house. Remember the plan. Wait him out. Once you see an opportunity, take it. We can't leave here without the file. I don't know how I ever got tied up in this. I mean, you get a little behind in your bets, and next thing you know, you're babysitting some asswipe for the boss and breaching intel. The file is there. I know it is. He just went in the bathroom, and the shower is kicked on. I'm taking my shot. Don't kill him. Wait. Shit. I'm a dead man if we don't get that file. I have a sure thing in play, about to make a huge payoff. This can't be the end for me. Got the laptop. Looking for the file now. It's named Hobby. Go it. Transferring. 30%, 50%, 75%, 90%, 100%. We got it in the clear, yuppie. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Don't thank me. I'm still leaning towards killing you. More importantly, I need to get this file to the boss, who will be pleased to own hard evidence against this freak. Good job, yuppie. You may just live after all. I suggest you no longer take bets. Hell, get out of the game altogether, or else the boss may find more work for you. And if you don't deliver next time, I'll see you at the funeral. Goodbye, for now. Wait, don't hang up. Aw, yuppie. Gonna miss me? Don't sweat it, kid. What was that? Sounded like a gunshot. Did you shoot him? What's going on? Talk to me. Hello, Charlie. Hello, John. Who was it then? Friday night. Marry a 24-year-old girl, tired from job. was going to her childhood bestie, Julia. Julia and I studied in the same class, murmured Mary, sitting in Metropolitan. God, I can't believe this is happening. I am going to meet my best friend after 9 years. I am full of tears, said Mary, with eyes full of tears in her eyes. Actually, these tears were symbolizing her happiness and grief at the same time. She was remembering the moments spent with her Julia. "Hey, miss, can we talk, if you don't mind?" questioned Mary from a young lady in front of her. The young lady was surprised that a girl wanted to share her feelings in an excitement. She could not stop herself from knowing the reason behind her excitement. "Yeah, of course," replied the young lady. "Myself, Mary. I am 24 and work for Walmart. Just got a weekend free for myself. I am just going to meet my childhood bestie named Julia. I still remember the days we bunked up classes together, the way we jumped in the playground, enjoyed the lunch together, stole food of other classmates, and ruined the notebooks to be checked by teachers." Ha ha. Mary spoke out all of this in breathless. But wait, she started crying while laughing. What was it? Wondered the young lady. She asked the reason that why she became suddenly sad. Mary replied, "She was always in a gloomy mood in the morning. Her dad used to beat her mom a lot. She was from Islam. She used to tell me that her dad did not allow her mom to stand even by the window of balcony. Slapped her mom without telling any reason. Always in a hurry of money for drinking alcohol. One day, her mom refused to give money for it. As a result, her dad broke a leg of her mom. She became very upset on that day. I advised many times to her that she should encourage her mom for divorce. But she said that mom will never agree upon it. On the day she told me about her mom's broken leg, I did not know that it would be the last day to see her in the school. After that, she never came. Just this is the story of ours." "Ah, that was such a sad ending," wondered the young lady. "So now you are finally going to meet up your bestie, right?" asked the young lady. "Yes," replied Mary. The young lady asked her that. From where did Mary got her friend's address? Mary told that she went to her friend's old address, and the neighbors told that the family has shifted to Newtown B. "Ah, just 2 kms away, and my destination will be right there. I am coming, Julia," spoke Mary. The young lady asked her many other questions, like why did Mary wait for so many years? Mary told that she became busy in her busy and boring life. Also, she answered her many other questions. Now, it was the time when Station was finally going to be there. The young lady could not stop herself from getting off with Mary. She actually wanted to know about many other things, and also wanted to know that how does her friend and family Look now. She decided to go with Mary to Julia's home. When they both finally arrived at their destination, Mary knocked the door. A man aged about 70 to 72 opened the door. Mary ran to the house and started shouting, "Julia! Oh, my Julu! Julie, where are you? I have arrived. Now don't play hide and seek." The old man spoke. "What rubbish! What the hell is it?" "Julia was my wife. She died 40 years ago in a car accident with her mom." Mary replied, "I am not joking. I know her since childhood. She could not be dead, and she was young, not that much aged. We played just 9 years ago. She told me everything happened to her mom." Mary told all the information and story about Julia to that old man. The old man shocked and cried with tears that the story was real. He went to his old suitcase and got a very old album of Julia's birth to marriage pictures. He showed it to both the ladies. They got extremely shocked. The old man said, "One day she was drunk from a party. She was driving to get back to home with her mom, and I was waiting for her at the dinner with my brother and his wife. The car just crashed the huge truck, and after that, she died. Her mom was in coma. But Julia was not anymore. She left all of us with that heartbreaking feeling." Julia's story is exactly matching to the story of her mom's recent life. I don't know. Where did you got this information? From the kids? It's been 40 years. She is dead, but I always try to feel her presence. But she never came in my dream. Not even a single time. I don't know how to meet her. I just want to get that soon. I hope this is possible as soon as possible. I'm just waiting for my death each day. Actually, yeah, it is true that her childhood was really very bad. Her dad used to be her mom. Without any reason, didn't allow her to move outside with freedom. Once he broke her leg as well. And after that, her mom became handicapped. Julie met me, and we were married. We were actually good friends in college. After we got married, her dad was dead. Her mom shifted to us. They both were actually happy, but she never could forgive her. That because her dad had ruined her mom and her childhood. The flood got out of their feet. That how could this happen? Mary was shocked that the story was true, and Julie's face was the same. But how could this be like that? She was an old lady, already dead, and wondered that what about the girl she played with all the time? All of the three started crying, and the young lady was very frightened. She tremblingly said, Who was it then?"